Let's learn Ryu-Ge! And welcome back to Let's Learn, YugiTube's premier blind deck building show. I'm a Hardleg Joe, if you didn't know, joined as always by Twitch chat. Twitch chat, you want to say a few things down there? Just say hi. Just prove that you were here. Hi, editor. The editor is me. Do you like cheese, YouTube? I'm a bot. Just kidding. As always, they're a bunch of rascally goofballs, but they're my rascally goofballs, and I'm glad to have them here keeping me company as we try to learn Ryu-Ge, one of the newest and most perplexing decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, usually when I do a Let's Learn, it's either because someone on Patreon has paid me to look at an archetype, or because it's something that's going to be a meta threat and I want to get a handle on it before it becomes something that I have to deal with over and over again. But in this case, I'm learning this deck purely because of how confusing it is. I have faced this deck no less than 3 times on the ladder, and I still have no idea exactly what it's going to do. And it's not confusing in like a DDD way or a Valence way, where they're doing a big combo. It's confusing more like Valmonica. Most Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes are based around one idea, but these are like level 10 monsters, but also it's a tri-type with dinosaurs, sea serpents, and worms. But also they've got pendulums, but only 2 of them, and one of them's a ritual, so they do ritual summon. But they've also got 3 named continuous spells that seem to focus on the effects of these. They're like specifically paired together. Honestly, I have no idea what they're doing. So that's why I want to sit down, read through these cards, try to build the deck myself, and see if I can figure out how they work. Now, as a result, what we'll be doing here is not building the best Ryu-Ge deck, or even necessarily a competent one, but we will be getting an overview of how the archetype works, figuring out all the little synergies, and kind of getting a little behind-the-scenes glimpse at my deck building process. So if you ever wanted to build the deck for yourself, or just want to know how to defeat it, or just curious, this should hopefully be the video for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into it. With a spin. The field spell. I haven't even started yet, and you're already with the field spell. Fine. You know what? They've spoiled the surprise. Not that it should be a surprise at this point. One of the things I always say is whenever you're trying to learn an archetype for the first time, the best place to start is usually the field spell. Field spells tend to have consolidating effects that'll give you a hint as to how the archetype works. And they do indeed have a field spell, Ryu-Ge Warzone. When you activate this card, take 1 dinosaur, 1 sea serpent, and 1 worm monster from your deck, add 1 to your hand, banish 1, and send 1 to the graveyard. Also, you can't special summon for the rest of the turn except for dragons, dinosaurs, sea serpents, or worms. If you have Sosei Ryu Mistva in your extra deck, face up, you can special summon 3 Ryu-Ge monsters with different types, 1 each from your deck, graveyard, and banishment. You can only use this effect once per turn. Alright, so a lot there. First of all, I was wrong. This isn't a tri-type deck, it's a quad-type deck, because apparently dragons are involved too. They lock you into specifically 4 types. I don't know why I'm holding up 5 fingers. 4 types, but those 3 do seem to be the main feature of them. I'm guessing the dragon is the, what's it, Sosei Ryu-Ge Mistva? I'm guessing that's the pendulum? Yeah. As I often say, after the field spell, usually the next most important thing is the extra deck monster. This doesn't have any extra deck monsters, but it does have pendulums, and pendulums do go to the extra deck, and this is a different colored one, so this is probably going to be something special, something else that unifies everything. We'll get to that in a second. First, I just want to talk about this. Just on its own, this is something I would say is a 3 of, because it searches you a card, but you do need to have 3 monsters of different types in the deck to even activate it. I don't know if these are easy to special summon, if these are bricks in the hand. It's possible you only want to play 1 of these because you can only activate 1. Just because it has the potential to summon 3 monsters to the field though, I think we're going to start with the assumption that this is at 3. Pretty much any starter is going to be. Anyway, with that said, let's go back to the ritual monster. This is Sosei Ryu-Ge Mistva, level 10, 3,500 attack, so blue eyes ain't shit, and a 0 pendulum scale. Real quick, just looking at the scale, what's the other one? On 11. Okay, so you can get your level 10s if you get both of these into the scale. What does this actually do in the scale? During your main phase, you can add one non-pendulum Ryu-Ge from your deck to your hand, then destroy this card. You can only use this effect once per turn. Okay, so this is also a searcher. What's the monster effect it's got going on here? Must be special summoned by its own effect. You can only special summon one of these once per turn. If a monster on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, while this is in your extra deck, tribute a level 10 Ryu-Ge, and if you do, special summon this card. This is treated as a ritual summon, then apply this effect. Destroy up to 2 cards you control, and if you do, place that many Ryu-Ge continuous spells from your deck face up on the field. Alright, hopefully you can see why this is a bit confusing. There's a lot going on here. This has nothing to do with the tri-types. It's just a weird ritual that breaks the conventions of rituals. It searches as a pendulum, puts itself into the extra deck, then summons it when something is destroyed. So far, we don't have any way to destroy it. And then when it is summoned, you can destroy 2 more cards you control and place the continuous spells. So, is destroying your own monsters another part of this? I mean, this thing does summon from the graveyard and banish too, so maybe you'd want to do that? I don't know. Either way, at the moment, it is a searcher, so I'm going to assume you need 3 of it. But we'll see. Again, this is very complicated. Not in a big combo way, just in there are a lot of different moving parts in different elements of the game way. Okay, so from there, it's a little difficult to see exactly where we want to go. Obviously, this is the outlier as the other Dragon Pendulum, but whether or not this is good and how many we want to play of this is really going to depend on these 3, because these are the ones that have synergy with everything else. They're the level 10 Ryu-Ge's they're going to be summoning and searching and stuff. So I figure let's go through these. They all have the same amount of attack. They're all level 10, so let's just go down the line, starting with Kaioru Ryu-Ge Kaiva. I am not good. I don't even know what language this is. I usually can identify things pretty well. I don't think that's Chinese, is it? I haven't the slightest idea. Either way, it's a dinosaur. I'm just gonna call it the dinosaur one. It's the dinosaur one. 3,000 attack, 1,200 defense, level 10 like everything else, Earth, and the following effect. You can shuffle this card from your hand into the deck, add 1 Ryu-Ge Realm Dino Domains from your deck to your hand. During the main phase, if 2 or more cards were destroyed this turn, quick effect, special summon this from your hand. You can place 1 Dino Domains you control on the bottom of your deck, then target other cards on the field, up to the number of different monster types on the field, and destroy them. You can only use this effect once per turn. Alright, very interesting. So if it's in your hand, you can get rid of it to get a very specific continuous spell. I'm going to assume that's one of the continuous spells. Then if you've activated the ritual card where you pop 2, you can get this out of your hand for free if it's still there. And then if you have the spell already on the field, and this on the field, you can put that spell back into the deck to destroy a bunch of cards. Probably at least 3, maybe more, because it counts your opponent's cards too. I haven't the slightest idea if this is good, or how many you want to play. I guess it kind of depends on the Dino Domain, so let's take a break, and let's just go down to the continuous spell, and see if the one linked up with it is something that you would want to search on turn 1. So, Ryu-Ge Realm Dino Domains. You can only control 1 of these. Ryu-Ge monsters gain 300 attack, oh boy. Ryu-Ge Pendulum monsters and level 10 or higher monsters whose original type is dinosaur gain this effect. Once per turn, when an effect of a monster on the field with less attack than this card is activated, quick effect, place 1 Ryu-Ge continuous spell you control on the bottom of the deck, negate the activation. Alright, so it gives everything a 300 attack boost, which is almost nothing. These things are already 3,000. And then it gives the Pendulum, so I guess it includes both the Ritual and the other one we haven't read yet, plus the Dinosaur specifically, a quick effect, add another quick effect negate. It's weird, I'm like looking at this and I'm like, how exactly it places one, but it places one as cost to negate the activation. That's very strange. You have to read a lot before you get to the actual negate portion of this. So attack less than or equal to this card. So pretty much any monster. Very few. I don't know why they even put that on there. It should just be a generic monster negate. Okay, so you have to have another one on the field in order to do that. I don't think this is something that you want to play 3 of, nor is it something you really want to search. At the moment, I'm going to say we'll just keep this at 1, and we'll see how everything goes. With that, let's move on to the next one, our Sea Serpent. Cairo Ryu-Ge Emva. Okay, I can pronounce that one a little bit better. I'm still going to call it the blue one. I'm not even Sea Serpent, that's too long. This is blue. They're blue, red, and green, alright? 3,000 attack, 2,000 defense, a water, of course. You could discard this to add Ryu-Ge Realm Sea Spires from your deck to your hand. During the main phase, if 2 or more monsters were sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can place 1 Sea Spires on the bottom of the deck, banish your opponent's entire hand. If you do, they draw the same number of cards. You can only use this once per turn. That's a very strange effect. I feel like that's useless unless it's a quick effect, right? Like if they search something, then you might want to use that to like get them to reshuffle. Maybe if you're playing Droll, you could do some really cheesy stuff. But doing that as a slow effect on your turn, like you don't know what they have. You could just as easily be drawing them out of a brick into something good. Unless you saw them search specifically like an Ash next time, but they can Ash this because it allows a player to draw cards. I don't know, it's just very weird. It's also weird too that they gave it a very similar effect as the previous one, but not exactly. Just enough to make this like a nightmare to play in real life. Because the first one was if 2 cards are destroyed, quick effect summon it. This is during your main phase only, not a quick effect, and if 2 cards were sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, I guess we look at Sea Spires and see if that's anything we want to search. If it's anything like the dinosaur one, probably not, but who knows. Alright, so Ryu-Ge Realm Sea Spires, continuous, you can only control 1. Your Ryu-Ge monsters can't be destroyed by battle. Ryu-Ge Pendulums and Sea Serpents you control gain this effect. Once per opponent's turn, quick effect, you can place 1 Ryu-Ge continuous spell on the bottom of the deck, target 1 card on the field, return it to the hand. Alright, so you get a quick effect bounce. Destroyed by battle is a joke because you're already like huge. There's hardly anything in the game unless you're fighting ancient gears. I don't think you need to worry about being destroyed by battle. But I guess that's kind of the point, right? It's like, they don't want you to be actually making decisions where it's like, do I want to negate the activation of my opponent's monster? Or do I want 300 more attack? That's a very difficult question. It's like, no. You're always going to be shuffling these back. Can it shuffle back itself? Yeah, because it gives the effect to the monster. That's why it does that. It gives the effect to the monster because if the spell itself had that effect, it wouldn't be able to resolve by shuffling itself back in. Okay, so far these are all one-ofs, and it almost feels like the only reason you would use this effect is if you need one in the deck for the war zone to resolve properly. You have the ability to do that, and then you can put these on the field and then like pop them, or what's the bottom effect again? Place it and then draw the same number of cards. So you almost like want to get rid of them unless you have the thing. Again, just a very weird resource management. Alright, let's go ahead on to the third one. Genro Ryu-Ge Hakuva. This is a worm. All I'm seeing is, oh, there is like a worm in there. I thought this was just a bunch of leaves and stuff. 3,000, 1,500, wind. You can banish this card from your hand, add the worm winds from your deck to your hand. If a monster is banished face up, this card is already banished, and there are at least 2 other banished monsters that are not itself, except during the damage step. You can special summon this banished card. You can place 1 Wormwind you control on the bottom of the deck, add 1 Ryu-Ge from your deck, graveyard, or banishment to your hand, except for Hakuva. Okay, I'm kinda getting it. So the field spell is like add 1 from your hand, 1 graveyard, 1 banished, right? And then this one says if cards are destroyed, summon this from your hand. This one says if monsters are sent to the graveyard, summon this from your graveyard. I missed that part. And then this one says if cards are banished, you can summon this banished card. Alright, so that's why they're all different. They all pertain to a specific zone. Interesting. Also, I thought, was this one not draw too? You can... No, this shuffles them back and then you destroy. This shuffles them back and then you draw. This shuffles them back and then gets you new cards and you search. Very difficult to keep track of them. They all have very similar effects, but not quite the same effect. Just again, like complicated, not in like a big combo way, but in a, you've got to keep track of how all of these are different in subtle ways effects. Very weird. Let's go ahead and see what the Whirlwinds does. I do like this one. You know, now that I can see it in the background, kind of all majestic and everything, I get it. Also, is that Alumirage? Alumirage! I have to see how this works into the existing lore. We can figure that out later. Okay, Worm wins. Only control one. Any monster sent from the field to the graveyard during your opponent's turn is banished instead. So it's Dimensional Fissure, but only for monsters from the field and only during your opponent's turn. So kind of a floodgate. Pendulum monsters and worms gain this effect. During the opponent's turn, you can place one continuous spell on the bottom of the deck, target a face-up monster, its attack becomes 0. Alright, so we got a negate, we got a bounce, and... Or this is the negate, this is the bounce, this is make a monster's attack 0. All three of them target... No, these two target, the negate doesn't target. I don't think. No, it's just when a monster is activated, but it's just activated effects. And this one is a floodgate, whereas the other two offer protection and attack boosting. This one I could see maybe playing more than one, depending on the format. Like, if you really just want to make sure that you can absolutely stop Fiendsmith, or to a lesser extent, Blue Eyes is kind of hurt by this. Memento is really hurt by this. Maybe you play 3 of these. This is definitely something where, like, I imagine if you were playing in the TCG, you would play this in the side deck. I mean, it is searchable, and does that mean you play at least 2 of these if you want to get into it? I don't know. So far, I'm having a really hard time judging the effectiveness of this deck. I don't know exactly what it's trying to do. You're definitely getting these on, but I don't know how you're getting... I guess you're destroying, but what are you destroying? We have these other... It's weird. It's weird, and it kind of eschews regular card advantage ideals. Let's go ahead and continue reading for now. We'll see if we can assemble something at the end here. Okay, time to finally look at our last monster, the other pendulum, Dragon, Tensei Ryu-Ge Anva. 3,000, 2,100, got the 11 pendulum scale, and the pendulum effect is you cannot pendulum summon except for Ryu-Ge's. This effect cannot be negated. You can negate your opponent's card or effect that's activated in response to the activation of a Ryu-Ge spell card or effect, then destroy this card. Okay, so this is a negate, but only for other negates, and only ones that try to negate your spells. Spells or spell card effects. We do have some spells that aren't the continuous ones, like this quick play. And I guess that also does help you from having the field spell. Like if they try to ash this, and you have this can stop it. So maybe you do play this at 3? Perhaps, just to stop against that. Hard to say, hard to leg. Let's look at what its monster effect is. You contribute 1 Ryu-Ge from your hand or field. Special summon this from your hand. If this card is special summoned, target 1 card on the field and destroy it. If this card is destroyed, place a Ryu-Ge continuous spell from your deck, banishment, or graveyard face up on your field. Alright, yeah, I do think this is a 3 of. This obviously works with the ritual. If you have this in your hand, and any other Ryu-Ge, either in your hand or on the field, you contribute it, summon this, destroy itself, that'll get you a Ryu-Ge continuous spell trap from your deck or graveyard on the field, and then you'll be able to summon the ritual because a card was destroyed. Very complicated, very difficult to work around. This kind of makes it seem like maybe we want to play a few more of these, although the field spell does already search it. I am also already thinking that we may want to play, at least in a pure version of this, the Planet Pathfinder, because it doesn't look like we have a normal summon. I don't know, we'll see. But this is what I'm going with so far. Now this does search, what was it? or it doesn't search, it places face up, continuous spells, and traps. So I guess that means we're going to look over the quick play for now and look at these two continuous traps and see if these are anything worth playing, worth setting. Traditionally, continuous traps have not been worth it. Wait, this is a normal trap. Okay, so we just have the one. Ryu-Ge end. Will this end the game for our opponent? Let's find out. Your opponent cannot target Ryu-Ge's with card effects. You can only use each of the effects once per turn. If a Ryu-Ge pendulum monster is in your field or in your extra deck, shuffle 2 Ryu-Ge's from your hand, graveyard, or banishment into the main deck, target 1 card on the field, and destroy it. If this card is destroyed, set a non-continuous Ryu-Ge trap from your deck, graveyard, or banishment. Okay, well, so we already talked about how you can put this in the pendulum zone, then you activate the spell, and then if they try to ash it, you can negate it and destroy this. But then also, if this summons to the field, you can put this face up immediately, and then if you start activating this, they can't target with like Imperm or Veiler. And then if they hit this with something, you can get the trap from the deck. So I guess it's worth playing this at 1, because not being targeted is probably good enough. It does let you recycle. You need to have a pendulum monster, but it can be field or extra deck, so you're good. Shuffle 2 from anywhere, target 1 monster and destroy it. Yeah, that's not bad. I think that's worth at least a 1 of. And then you get to set the trap. So it's like, even if the trap is bad, it is free, so maybe it's a 1 of? We'll see. Ryu-Ge Rivalry. Special summon 1 Ryu-Ge from your hand, deck, or graveyard, but return it to the hand during the end phase. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 continuous spell in your banishment or graveyard or field, place it on the bottom of the deck, draw a card. So everything recycles everything. It's just a free monster. It's not great, but it does something. It doesn't ignore summoning conditions, so it can't get out this guy, because it has to be summoned with its own effect, but it can get any of the other ones. So, I guess we'll leave it at 1 for now. And all that leaves us with is our last card, Ryu-Ge Rising. Add 1 Ryu-Ge monster from your deck to your hand, then add 1 Ryu-Ge Pendulum from your hand to your face-up extra deck. Okay, wait, it's then. How does that work? Does that mean you have to have a pendulum monster in your hand to activate this? I forget exactly how that works. I think then is something that, like, you know, you go as far as you can. You get to do the first one no matter what. Then, if you have that other part, you can. But if you don't have to. It's a you can. That's the important part. Then you can. The important thing is that it's a searcher, which means it's a 3 of, which means we've got so much recursion in this deck, which means I have no idea if you play any amount of these. Everything searches everything. This searches stuff and summons it. This searches it. It's recursion all the way down. What else does this do? During your main phase, if you control a Ryu-Ge Pendulum monster, banish this card and 1 Ryu-Ge from the graveyard, special summon 1 with the same original type as the banished monster from the deck. You can only use this once per turn. Alrighty then. That does kind of help me make the decision. I appreciate them giving me something like this. So it has to be a Ryu-Ge with the same type. Which makes me think, you know, just so that we can resolve that effect, let's play all of these at 2. Also, I just realized this is like first archetype ever to be made entirely of super rare cards. Every single monster except the boss, which is even an ultra rare, is just a super rare. Alright, so now that I've read all the Ryu-Ge cards, I'm still confused. I don't think this has happened before. You know, I usually sit down and I read through the cards, and maybe I still have some questions, maybe I don't understand exactly what they're doing, but this is still, there's just so much to keep track of. You're balancing all these different named continuous spells that shuffle themselves back. You're balancing the tri-types. You've got to make sure that you have like equal amounts in the hand, graveyard, deck, and banished. You're trying to balance your extra deck as well. It's just all over the place. It's got everything. This is not going to be an easy build. So I guess that's the one thing we learned, right? If you're new at the game, if you're just coming at this, don't try to build this on your own. You will need help, or you will need a lot of time to actually sit down and mess around with it and kind of figure it out. At the moment, I'm hearing some people in chat are saying you can mix this with other stuff. Obviously, since it locks you into, like, dinosaurs, you could play, like, a dinosaur engine in here. It's 10, so maybe you could put some rank 10 trains. The only thing I can think of, right off the top of my head, Planet Pathfinder. This is a normal summon. You contribute, add a field spell. The field spell seems to do everything, and you don't have a normal summon, so being able to get that normal summon and go into it. But also, the fact that you don't need your normal summon in this also means that, like, you can play any number of engines. There's so many things, like one-card engines, that work if you just have a normal summon that you can use. Someone in chat is saying Voiceless Voice works great with this, which seems weird because doesn't this lock you into, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn? Yeah. So the normal summon is fine, but I feel like, I guess you could do the Voiceless Voice stuff first and then go into this. Someone's saying Diviner of the Heralds, Senju could be a good, you don't play Senju in modern, like, ritual decks. You do the Voiceless Voice first. So, thank you to chat. That's something you could consider if you wanted to look into this. If you already know how to play Voiceless Voice, if you don't, I don't think I would recommend trying to learn that archetype and this archetype at the same time, because that would just be that would be too difficult, I should say. I think at least for me, personally, like if I were going to fill the rest of this out, I'm just filling out the rest with hand traps. It's lazy. It doesn't exactly, like, necessarily fit. Some people were saying that this works better as, like, a go second OTK deck. I'm not really seeing it, but maybe. There's not really a whole lot of destruction except for the red guy, and that requires you to have so much setup. I don't know how you're playing into established boards. This does kind of help if they try to negate one thing, but if they negate this from being activated, then you're... I don't know. I would put in hand traps for now, and then, like, after I test around with it, figure it out a little bit more, maybe we could go into a more complex build. Of course, I don't know why I'm doing this on Master Duel, because I am not going to craft all this just to test this deck and learn it out. That's one of the few things that I think Master Duel really kind of suffers from. There's no way to try out a deck. And I guess that's by design. They want you to buy the cards and then play with them, and then if you realize they're bad, you have to refund them. Fortunately, I have options, and so do you. Behold, the unofficial simulator, YGO Omega. Not the, like, nicest looking thing, but it allows you to try out cards for free, play them against, like, an AI, figure out all your combos before you go buying stuff on Master Duel. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit down in the solo mode, kind of figure out somehow this deck works, see if I can try to find a combo all on my own that ends on at least a little disruption, a little something, and then I'll come back to explain it to you. And by come back, I mean I'll be there right now. Alright, it took me a little while to get this down, but I did finally figure out a good one-card combo that gets you a pretty decent end board going first. And that seems to be like the barrier of entry for being considered playable in the modern game. You have to have one card that gets you enough stuff on the field that you can survive, that you can play hand traps, and fortunately this does pass this. You do need to play a whole lot of, like, cards in your deck, a lot of kind of garnets in order to make this work, but I can see now how this could be mixed with other archetypes and other engines and everything. And fortunately, this one card is insanely searchable. In addition to Melody of Awakening Dragon being able to search this, you can also search it with anything that searches rituals. You know, Diviner of the Herald, Senju, which now I can see why you would play with Voiceless Voice. Either way, let me show you what this one card does. So you get the Mistva, you activate it in the Pendulum Zone. Then you activate its effect, destroy itself, search any Ryu-Ge card. Obviously, if you already have the field spell, you can get other stuff, but if you have nothing else, we're getting the field spell. So you activate the field spell, and that immediately lets you take 3 Ryu-Ge monsters. We'll get 1 of each, and you get 1 to your hand, 1 banished, and 1 to the graveyard. And I do appreciate now that even though these are a bit complicated, at least they kept them, like, kind of color-coded. It's easy just to remember, like, the hand one, the red one goes to your hand, the one that says banish, you want to banish, and the one that says graveyard, you want to graveyard all the time. So now that you have 1 in each zone, and you have this in the extra monster zone, you can activate the war effect, which is to summon one from the deck, one from the graveyard, one banished. And we're going to use the Anva, the other one. We're going to keep this in our hand. So summon this, summon this, summon this. Now Anva, when it's summoned, you get to destroy one monster, and then I think set a spell trap face up. I'm still trying to remember, but you destroy itself. And that will trigger both its effect and also the ritual's effect. Because a monster was destroyed, you can special summon this. And also because 2 monsters were destroyed, you can summon this from your hand. So let's go ahead and do that. You got this. Now we gotta tribute a monster in order to get this out, and I think the green one is the best, although, you know, someone else can tell me in the chat. I don't think it really matters. But we're gonna summon this. We're gonna destroy up to 2 cards and place that many Ryu-Ge continuous spells. So we're gonna destroy the field spell and the water. Because we wanna get the floodgate. This works no matter what we have on the field. And then we're gonna get the fire one, the Dino Domains. This is a negate for dinosaur monsters and the rituals, the dragon type monsters. I think it's pendulums, I forget. Either way, this represents just by itself 2 negates. This is the floodgate, and then because this was destroyed, we can get the trap. And the trap is get 2 monsters, shuffle them into the deck, target a card, and destroy it. So we've got a targeted pop, we've got basically macrocosmos for your opponent's monsters, and we've got 2 just generic negates. Although the thing about the negates is that in order to use them, we have to shuffle these back. So we can theoretically have each of these use that negate effect, but the first one would have to shuffle away the floodgate in order to do that. We could shuffle away the Dino Domains, but then if we did that, like, we wouldn't be able to negate with the second one. Either way, our opponent, the AI, is just on normal monsters, so they're not going to be able to compete either way. But let's assume, alright? Let's say, like, oh, this is very scary. We have to get our 2, we'll shuffle them back, we'll destroy this. Bang, bang, shot you down. And then let's say we had to use one of these. We get rid of the Wormwinds to negate something else. This, on the opponent's turn, can send the Dino Domains in order to destroy 2 cards on the field. So let's say that, like, your opponent set a couple cards, or they set something face down, they're just trying to stall. You can still pop 2 cards, go to battle phase, attack for... This won't be 38 if you got rid of the Dino Domains, but it'll still be enough not to kill your opponent. But these are both level 10s, and because we haven't used the field spell this turn, we're not locked into anything, which means you can make Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max and just finish off your opponent. You know, detach to burn for 2,000. So there you go. A bit complicated, a bit resource heavy, but 1 card can give you enough disruptions to survive a turn, and enough stuff on board to easily just destroy your opponent on the follow-up. Plus whatever else you have in hand. So there you go, a little peek into what the Ryu-Ge machine actually does. Again, this is not a full in-depth deck profile because I think you could honestly sit here and spend like 30, 40 minutes, a whole hour just talking about the different kind of synergies and things you could do with this. It has a lot of potential. It's also very complicated. You know, oftentimes I talk about what makes a good deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's not just about power. A skill ceiling is not enough. There's kind of this level of being really powerful and being easy to navigate. Because in any tournament setting, the more complicated your deck is, the more likely you are to make mistakes. And one little mistake could really ruin everything. This seems like something that has a really high skill ceiling, that has the potential to do a lot, especially mixed with other stuff, but I don't think it'll ever take off, just because you need to be a brain genius in order to figure out how this actually works. But, you know, there are worse decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you like complicated stuff, which I do, this might be worth something checking out, might be worth something trying. But I at least have an idea of how this works, and most importantly, how to fight it. I mean, obviously, the field spell is a huge choke point. If you can stop the search or stop the summon, things like Ash Blossom, but also Ghost Ogre really stop that. Although you want to make sure you're not doing that when you've got this in the pendulum zone. This is also a big deal. If you can find some way to destroy this before it can really activate, that could be really powerful. And just in general, spell trap removal, if you can get rid of all these things in the back row, then their monsters lose their effects. Of course, they have ways to negate that and stop all of it. It's a very complicated deck. But now that I at least know some of it, hopefully I'll be able to fight against it better in the future. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you liked this. If you did, make sure to like the video down below, leave me a comment, let me know that you like these videos so I continue to make them. And thank you to TwitchTat for showing up, giving me some ideas, helping me understand this very complicated deck. Until next time, good luck and have fun.